my God, will Pulse fill up? Yes. If it accrues so much value and gets so many users, yeah, the fees will go up and you'll just get really, really rich holding Pulse watching. Oh no, more really, really rich people. Like, you can't, here's the thing, you cannot force a free market to keep things cheap, because then crappy use cases that aren't valuable will outbid useful and valuable use cases. And do you want your chain with limited capacity to be filled up with crap? No, you don't want your chain filled up with crap. You want it filled up with nice, good things. Well, then how do you know what the difference between nice and crap is? By bidding. And the people that see more value in the chain pay more to use the chain. And then your limited resource chain, through the bidding mechanism, is filled with the most valuable things that people can fill it with. And so this like socialist USSR decree that, oh, we're just going to have cheap fees forever, it doesn't work, because there's a finite amount of space and you have to allocate it to certain users. And who should you allocate it to? Those that can most afford it, because they're bidding with their money for how valuable the transaction is. So the solution to a limited resource isn't to screw around with the pricing. The solution to a limited resource is to create more of the resource. So the Ethereum chain is full. Great. Well, we're going to make one with 4 times more throughput, and it won't be full. It'll be empty, and let's go fill it up.
Hey everybody, welcome to another day on a crypto and Pulsechain. We're going to get into all the update, do a roundup of all the markets, some of the news that's happening in the market as well. We will be touching on Inferno, one of the Titanx protocols, which is in its 6th round or 6th cycle at the moment. So we'll talk about that too. What else? Yeah, pretty good video. I love that video of Richard's. It's really talking about the use case there. Obviously, we've had a lot of second layer stuff launch on Ethereum, but not layer 1, right? So Pulsechain layer 1, which is very, very important for that security. We've already seen many chains go down, right? Chain, we've seen Solana, many others. So Pulsechain really has been reliable there. And of course, I saw Bretep on the Pulsechain devs yesterday talking about his getting back to work. So he's working hard there. All right, let's get back to it. We got Lies Beneath in the house. Hello, how are you today? Very good. Hex, Pulse Hex, incentive for the win, 100%. I've got a poll at the moment, which is good timing there, Lies Beneath. Are you buying on Pulsechain at the moment with these low prices? Yes, maybe, no, or you're just buying on other chains, other chain cryptos instead. So let us know what your principal move there is getting that poll. What else? We got Brennan, our TA guru in the house. Hey, Brennan. Howdy, Superman and family. Bam, bam. Good to see you, Brennan, in the house. We also got Tim Top as well. What's up? What's up? Hexkins. I thought I'd give that some decent go there at Tim Top. Big shout out. And Brennan says Signum Oracle is launching on Pulsechain. Yeah, I think, did we talk about that the other day? I'm not sure if that's the same one as Jacob's talking about using for Pulse Predict. Can't remember what Oracle that was. But that's good news, isn't it? We need a decentralized Oracle on Pulsechain. So big stuff there. Looking good. We got MBS in the house there. Morning all. Big shout out MBS doing a great job on X, growing his profile. And of course, spreading the good word around Mafia and Pulsechain and other stuff. So big shout out to MBS. Absolutely crushing it with some huge posts. 40, 50, 60,000 views on some of his posts. So I think watch out, KDP, watch out, Somi, watch out, Crypto Copy. It looks like MBS is coming for those top spots. So big shout out to MBS for that. Brennan says Tetra Labs did a talk with Randy and panel just an hour ago. Yeah, I did see that. That's fantastic. All right, yeah, that's going to be brilliant. We need that kind of infrastructure on Pulsechain. Obviously, Liquid Loans are supposed to bring us with Teller with their own vision, but I don't know what happened with that. Somehow got derailed or something, or they didn't want to expand the service offering past Pulse. MVS says today I did 150,000 first time. Unbelievable. We'll have to talk about that later on. That's incredible. So MVS absolutely crushing it out there. Yeah, nice one, says Brennan. Absolutely doing a great job. All right, so let's get into it, folks. Let's get into the markets. So obviously it is a Saturday here down under in New Zealand, and we're going to be looking at the Friday results of the stock market, and it was a doozy. Is that the right word? It was a doozy. So S&P 500 ends volatile. August on a high with 4 straight monthly gain. So fantastic, 4 straight monthly gain there for the S&P 500. Volatile though, and this has been the theme that we were going to have through August and likely September as well, although it may surprise us to the upside. It's not always down month in September with volatility. We've got the Dow Jones there up over 0.5%, 228 points to 41,563. With the S&P 500 up 1% to 56 points, from 56 points to 5,648. And then we've got the Nasdaq up 1.1%, up 190 points, 92 points to 17,709. So really good results there on the stock market. The US dollar index is at 101.66, so it's still over 100, but it's way down from that 104, 105 on the US dollar, and we're expecting a more devaluation with the interest rate pivots potentially coming up. Now, West Texas Brent oil there, $73, $77 respectively. Both of them are down about 2.5% or so. We've got gold at the moment is down 1%, $24, down at $2,535. And the silver is down 2.5%, 75 cents to $29.24. So it's a big move for silver down today. But we know with interest rate pivots, devaluation, we're expecting potentially big upside to silver moving in just like we were expecting for crypto. Now, we did get July's inflation data for the PCE, so the Consumer Consumption Index, Expenditure Index. This is the number one inflation indicator for the Federal Reserve. That is, over the CPI, the Consumer Price Index. The core personal consumption expenditure index, the Fed's preferred measure of inflation, rose 2.6%. Remember, they're targeting 2%. In New Zealand here, we have 1 to 3% range. They're targeting 2%, which used to be New Zealand's old one, right? Which I think was 989, if I remember. New Zealand was the one that created that 2% target that a lot of central banks use. But I do think that the Fed probably should move to a 1 to 3 percentage range, just like New Zealand has switched as well. Rose 2.6% in July on an annual basis, compared with an estimate of 2.7%. So that's good news. On a monthly basis, it rose 0.2%. So, that inflation coming down a little bit. Of course, real inflation for the home, if you're at home, it's always way higher, right? Seems like 10, 20% a year. And of course, I heard someone told me they got a salary rise and it was like just around the inflation rate. But we all know that it's probably at least 3 times that, 10% or so, depending on what your budget's like. The data added to expectations of the Fed to cut rates as soon as next month, with the traders now pricing in a 68% chance of 25 basis points, but now only a 30% chance of a 50 basis point cut, compared with 37% last week. So, yeah, 25% is 2/3 of the market at least. The reading should provide Chair Powell and the broader FOMC with continued comfort to proceed with the rate cuts beginning in September. So this is what they call the pivot, right? So the terminal rate will be 5.5%, and then they'll pivot in September with a 25 basis point cut, which is 1/4 of a percentage point. So we'll move from 5.5 down to 5.25 at the top of that range. So there we go. That is the good news. All right. Let's move away and get into the actually, let's quickly look at the economic news coming up next week. Why don't we do that while we're here? We've got the economic calendar. Let's see what's coming up next week. So next week, let's see. We've got Labor Day on Monday. Apparently it's all day, Labor Day on Monday. So for you in the United States, happy Labor Day. Hope you have a good time there. But on Tuesday, we got manufacturing data coming out. That's going to be really interesting to see around the performance of the economy, soft landing, hard landing. We've got the JOLTS job openings on Wednesday. It's going to be important around the employment trade-off to interest rates. On September, we got non-farm in there as well. A couple of non-farm manufacturing. Presumably that's the PMI. What else there? And then non-farm payrolls on Friday. So a couple of things that might move the market there coming up. So particularly non-farm payroll, that might be quite interesting there, and the JOLTS job report. So a few little movements there that market can move on next week. All right, let's jump into crypto though. Bam. Bitcoin at the moment, $59,364, just down 2/5 of a pence or 1/5 of a percent. The Bitcoin dominance at 54.93%. And let's have a look at the Ethereum. Ethereum at the moment, 2,532, pretty much flat. Everything is pretty much moving sideways at the moment. Maybe consolidation is the way you might want to describe that. XRP up 1%. Tron pretty much flat. Solana down 1.1%. ADA down 3%. Now remember, ADA, if I'm still right, is tomorrow, the first, at least in the US time, on the 1st of September. I think the Chang fork is happening for the ADA upgrade. It's down 3% today. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty sure the Chang Fork is on the 1st of September, and I think that is locked in. So that is coming up. That's a big move for ADA. Yeah, you might want to check with the Hodgkinson on that one. But I'm pretty sure it's the 1st. What else there? BNB is pretty much flat, $537. Not a lot move there. Litecoin as well, up 4%. So Litecoin actually moving up quite nicely there, 4% against the market, $65 there. What else is looking interesting? Optimism is up 3%, so the second layer, and I think Arbitrum as well. Arbitrum up, just up slightly there, 51 cents. But Optimism making a nice little move there at the moment against the majors. Not bad at all. That leads us into Bitcoin. Having a look here on Coinbase, we can see the hourly chart. Still that volatility, got that little downtrend going on there, and moved all the way down over the last couple of hours. We got down to 57,742, but we're back up at 59. So wow, what sort of volatility is that? That's some crazy stuff. We're up at 59,000, got all the way down 57,700, and now we're back up at 59. So wow, what volatility! We said it was going to happen. Let's go to the daily on the old Bitcoin and see where that's lying. And that is the chart there on the daily. So we had a big uptrend, of course, got all the way up to, what did we go up to? 73,835 on the 14th of March. And we have been slowly rolling over a little bit there. You can see the sort of the rounding of those tops with the lower lows. But, we're not too bad here at the moment. Had good support, 54. Got good support at 57. And we're above that. So, it's still looking pretty good. We have got this convergence, though, between the 50-day and the 200-day. And even though we broke the 200-day, we have managed to find support here. So I don't know what Brandon thinks of that. But we have had support the last 5 days. But we have got this closing narrowness of the 50-day and the 200-day. That would indicate a death cross if it does cross. Obviously, we don't want that. And, of course, we want to really, have a big rally out of the end of September, if not the beginning of October. Certainly in November, the election is something we're looking forward to. So we've got the interest rate pivot 18th September, and then potentially the US election, and fingers crossed. Things are looking pretty good for Trump on the polls. Kamala Harris with the CNN interview was a big flop. Looks like the polls went against her on that. And of course, she doesn't know what she's doing. We'll talk about that. But that's where we are at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on this. Hopefully, if we can get some green upward candles, we can avoid a death cross, maybe just touch it. The 50-day touches the 200, and then we move off to the upside. We'll be having a look at that. So that's kind of where we are at the moment. September normally is a down month, and October is Uptober, right? The up month. And then hopefully that rallies into Christmas. And still targeting 100K Bitcoin, right? Well, we got up to 73,835. So, 100K. Let's do it. 100K from 59. That would be not bad, right? Not bad. So let's see where 100K would be from here. Let's see how much upside that would be to get there. And so 100K, that would be around about 70% move leading into the end of the year. So that's kind of the target there. Maybe next year we go even higher, 150 to 180, as long as geopolitical risks are kept in check. Trump wins the election, things like that. That'd be very, very bullish for crypto in that 150, 180, maybe even Richard Hart's 240, right? 240 might come into play for this cycle. So there we go. I think it's reasonable for us to expect, a 2-3x in this cycle compared to the last cycle. That seems reasonable to me. Let's go to I think we've got a monthly chart here. Let's go to the monthly here. So the previous high, right, was in the November month of 2021 in the previous cycle. And we got to 69K. We've been to 73,800 now. So it does seem reasonable for us to potentially get to that that 150, 180 mark. That would be a 3x. Now we've got to remember we've also got the Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs where money can just channel through. We got Morgan Stanley with 15,000 advisors pushing this. We didn't have that before in the last cycle. So it seems reasonable we've got that money, right? It's all about that demand coming in. And that's one of the key things that we've got for for Pulsechain now as well, which we'll talk about. So that is, let me just scroll that out there. That's the monthly candles at the moment. So yeah, on the way up. We just have a bit of a retrace, bit of a correction before we're on the move. Let's go. That's all we can say. All right. So Ethereum, of course, has been the weaker of the two, but has had a nice little pushback up here. Went all the way down a few hours ago. down to 2,431, but now back at 2,500. Let's go to the daily and have a look at where the daily is on Ethereum at the moment. So yeah, we had a death cross on Ethereum. We're trying to avoid that on Bitcoin, of course, and we've got a good chance of doing that. September, though, could potentially be that, like we say, a lull there, and we might get pretty close. But at the moment, ticking away there. We have found a bit of support here. We have been here previously. It was resistance right in January. It seems to be giving us some sense of support here in this range before the next move up to the upside. Like I say, September going to be a challenging month. October, or at least the end of September, post the interest rate cuts, could be on to the rise there. Now, this assumes, of course, we know that following interest rate cuts, stock markets can retrace. That might affect the sentiment and the sentiment and the wealth effect. But crypto may very well do its own thing anyway. Regardless of that, maybe they'll just look to the crypto because it really hasn't hit any of these top end targets that people are looking at. So maybe money just funnels into crypto, and maybe not only interest rates. Maybe we see some money printing from the Fed, and the Fed balance sheet starts rising up from 7 trillion and starts rising back up again. We'll have a look for that, especially if we get worse economic news. All right, let's jump over to the meme coins. Meme coins at the moment, looking at the top markets, we've got Dogecoin sitting at just under 14.9 billion, down almost 10% for the week, but up 1.7% the last 24 hours. Everything's pretty much down, as you can see, double digits. Once we get down to Pepe, we're all down double digits, like 15%. The further we go, we're getting even bigger moves down. Brett, 20%. Dogs, which this is on dogs on ton chain, right? Tons managed to survive, but the market cap is going down 20% for the week, 663 million. So that's the dogs on ton. And then, of course, we've got PopCat down 23%. So, man, some big moves. PopCat was the big winner. Remember, it was like 70, 80%. It's down 22%. So it's taken off some of that edge, down 9% in the last 24 hours, sitting at 579 million. Scroll down, obviously double digits here. Mogcoin down 32% for the week at 330 million, and so on. And then our favorite one here, the number one Bitcoin meme, dogs on runes on Bitcoin, down 15%, but is up 0.5% the last 24 hours, sitting at 275 million market cap. So that's where we are. And of course, Bitcoin there starting to ease there. So is this the bottom for dogs? Could be, very well be. So we'll keep an eye on that. September, though, could be a bit rough, right? So just keep that in mind. All right, let's go to Pulsechain. We're going to get into that. I forgot to read the total market cap, but that's okay. We'll just get into the results for Pulse. And how far through? We 18 minutes. So day 476, I think it is. Before we do, though, let's get into the chat. Who else has jumped in here? Brennan says, lucky you're not in Brazil. They will be shutting down X in the coming hours. Yeah. So we know the president of Brazil and the head of the Supreme Court, the top lawyer there, are both corrupt, and they are moving fast for a fascist state. The reason why they're taking X down, obviously they're against Elon Musk, but they also want to take away the people's freedom, right? So that way no one's getting close to the truth, inverted commas, on X. And of course, the X is the only one that actually has challenges to comments there. So community notes and things like that. So yeah, it's but tyranny is happening now. They're getting emboldened too by what's happening in the UK with the Labour parties. Labour parties are socialist communists, and of course they're all putting authoritarian states in place. The only thing that's going to stop them is people supporting the opposition and supporting freedom, and so people have to fight for it. If you don't, the authoritarians and Labour, socialists, and things like that will get emboldened. We already see how emboldened Trudeau is in Canada. Macron in France. I mean, these people are real lunatics. They are just a classic fascist authoritarians. So people have to stand up, and that really, and we have seen a shift of that, right? We have seen a shift to the center right because people want liberty, they want freedom. So we are slowly seeing that, but there's still a lot of battle ahead of us. And ultimately, Trump needs to win the U.S. election to really depeg a lot of that stuff. That's why they really are trying to set Trump up as much as they can, because he's the last thing to stop them from taking complete power. So we'll be see where that heads in the next year. It's going to be pretty important, not only for freedom but for crypto as well. We got Archie the Don in the house. Hey Archie, good to see you. Now Archie and myself are going to be on Cold DeFi's show on Monday Kiwi time or New Zealand time. That'll be Sunday US time. So yeah, we're going to be doing that probably 2 hours before my normal live show on Monday. So it's going to be cool, and it's going to be about half an hour or so. It's going to be full of cool insights. So you definitely want to see that coming up there with the directorate and all the 4 families dominating Mafia at the moment. So big shout out to Archie there. We got Brennan says, "Hey Don, yeah, hey Don, what's up, Brennan? You guys are cool. All right." So Archie says, "I wouldn't vote for Kamala if she was running for president of my neighborhood HOA." That's pretty funny. What else we got there? Brendan says the UK could definitely follow suit to Brazil. Absolutely. They're arresting children, by the way. They're arresting 11-year-olds. I think a 7-year-old. I mean, they're just arresting kids. These guys are completely nuts. They're completely nuts. It's going crazy. And they're letting out all the prisoners. So if you've served 20, 40% of your time, they're letting you out, whether you're all sorts of bad prisoners getting out there. And then they turn around and say, "Oh, we're not letting out bad prisoners," but they are letting out bad prisoners, and the bad prisoners are getting out and doing, what do you think they're doing? They're reoffending. They're, knife attacks, stealing, even murder potentially. These guys, it's just hilarious, dude. And they're arresting the average British citizen that's protesting on a number of political issues. So typical stuff you see in China and places. Arrest your opposition, and that's way. So yeah, pretty crazy stuff. We know that China has about 1 million political prisoners in their prisons, and yet it's just crazy where they're heading. And of course, credit scores and all that sort of stuff. It is mind-boggling. People do need to stand up to defend the West. The greatest society of all time was the West under Judeo-Christian values of freedom. And so let's see where it goes. It's going to be pretty interesting. Turning point. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let's get back into Pulsechain. We're going to get into the results there for day, let's see, 476. We've got Pulse at the moment, quadruple 0, 333, down 1%, 33% of the mean sacrifice price. Pulsex at the moment is at quadruple 0, 166, down 1.5%, sitting at just under 17% of the means of the sacrifice, mean sacrifice there. And the buy and burn sitting at 963.6 billion. That is 4.77% of the public supply. That is a Pulsex. Incentive token down 1.8%, and of course 1% of that is the price of Pulse. The other is the ratio. So the ratio of incentive at $1.57 is 47,000 Pulse. This is definitely coming down a bit. We're going to see this on the chart, see where it is on the range. And the total supply at the moment, 40.8 million incentive tokens from the Pulsex V1 farms. And of course, we checked out the yields yesterday on yesterday's show on the Pulsex yields. So we do that every couple of days to see how they're going. But they've been performing very, very well as the Pulsex yields. Really impressive, actually. Like I think about PancakeSwap and I think, man, the Pulsex have been performing like a boss with those yields. Hex at the moment is sitting just below 42 cents. 42 hundredth of a penny. My bad. 42 cents would be pretty good. 42 hundredth of a penny. That's pretty much flat today. That's actually been the best performer the last couple of days, right? 3 days in a row, I think. So it's kind of cool. EHEX at the moment, 11 hundredth of a penny, and the combined price of EHEX and PX at 53 hundredth of a penny. Now, one thing we're going to mention is that I think it's on Hex.com. Richard Hart posted a new update today. I was supposed to bring it out actually, but I think that they've dropped EHEX from that from the disclaimer or something like that. So there have been a few changes on the old Hex.com site. So you can definitely check that out. Richard Hart's post. I haven't brought it up today, but we might check that out a bit later when I get up to it. All right, that is pretty much it for the majors. Let's get into the actual charts. So we're just going to go look at the daily at the moment. RSI is getting pretty oversold, so it's a pretty good zone to accumulate. We're down at 31 at the moment. So yeah, it's typically when it gets around this area, it's a good buying opportunity, right? So when it was down here, you buy, it goes up. So good chance you could make some money. I mean, that was pretty flat, but you still made money in that move on the RSI. So the RSI looking pretty good for accumulation at the moment, which is a good reason why we've got that poll, right? So get on the poll and vote. So that's kind of where we are. Now, obviously, with specific things to Pulsechain, we're waiting for the SEC court case on the 24th of October. That is the biggie there. And, of course, we may not get a response from the judge for 30 to 90 days after that. And so, yeah, it could end up being January, February. What did I say? December, January. Could be before we get a decision on that. And hopefully the judge will go in favor of the dismissal. That's to dismiss the case, and that would be a huge relief and may see a lot of capital flow back into Pulsechain. So there we go. We have had a big whale being selling out, I think, over part of the Rack and Rochelle syndicate there, which was the number one sacrifices of Pulsex. So I haven't seen the full extent of that, but I think they're almost out as far as I know. So we might try and have a look at that, some of that data Let me know in the chat there if you guys have been following any of that. That's another reason for the price being down on the lower end. All right, let's go to Pulsechain. Pulsechain unfortunately broke down that yellow. So we're on the weekly here, not the daily like we just saw with Pulse. But we got, Pulse, we broke the weekly. We're down at 1654. And of course, we've got support there at 1500 to 1400 under that. So we're still above that, but we have broken down. RSI on the weekly at 37. Moving to the daily, RSI like Pulsechain is down at 31. So not quite fully oversold, but definitely down there. And we have seen bounces down at this range before, right? Look back here, seen bounces there before. So we might be getting pretty close to the bottom of the smooth, but maybe 1500 as support before we bounce there, but still a very good place. Now, when the price is down this level, you can pick up so much volume. When you get that reversal on the uptrend, maybe it's the end of this year, maybe it's next year. That's when it's game on, right? So just remember that DCA for the win on these lows. Looking to incentive token, look at the ratio. We've obviously been going down the ratio recently. You can see the downtrend. It's been happening since, I don't know where, let's go, probably been happening since 7th of August down through to the 1st of September. And so what's it, about 3 weeks? And here we are at 47, but we're still above our support here, which is sitting at 44,500. And of course, that's based on the earlier times in April. But we're still trading there, but heading towards down the bottom of the range. Now, if we broke that, I think we could have some severe moves down. So obviously, we want to bounce in that range. But once again, great yield there on Pulsex V1 at the moment. Hex, of course, I'm not going to say too much about this. All-time lows, pretty much around that, or pretty much around those lows. We have been there before on the 5th of August, but just accumulate. That's all I can say. RSI down at 33. Could go a little bit lower, but seems to be holding on here just above 4 tenths of a penny, right? So seems to have a lot of support there. We'll see how we get on with the RSI. So accumulate there as well. Nothing else more to say. EHEX likewise also down here as well. But obviously Pulsechain is the magic upright chart. So or chain, I should say. So that's where you should head there, I think, for accumulation. We've got the Hex derivatives. Best performer today. Well, they're all negative, but Hedron is the least worst. It's only down 1/3% there at the moment. That is Hedron. Moving to stablecoins. Stablecoins at the moment, we do have a PDI at 1500 of a penny. It's down 2.5%. That's kind of it at the moment. I'm not really talking too much about LUSD. It's up almost 0.8%, but not really doing that hot with the burn that it was kind of indicated. So we're more in the PDI there. Once again, speculative as well. We are going to follow its journey because it's kind of fun and there's a big audience around it. So there we go. Let's go to incentive influencer coins. Everything is down on influencer coins. The best performer, though, relatively is Paul Pleb, only down at 30%. The worst performer there is SolidX, down 4.4%. But SolidX is probably the best pickup other than Note Token because SolidX has got that big game, crash game coming to Pulsechain maybe at the end of this year. And that's by DragonX founder Eric, right? So that's down 4.4%, $13.82. But that might be a good opportunity to pick up SolidX. Remember, it's Randy Alasky's whale friend, Fire Whale. So that's definitely something that you could consider thinking about as a bit of a pickup there. RSI down to 36 at the moment. It can go pretty negative, has been down at 23. So there may be more opportunity ahead, depending on where the sentiment of the market goes, particularly into September. But by the time we get to October, probably a very good pickup there, if not already. So just take that into account. Might get even a better deal in October. So DCA possibly in for that. Could have a huge rally. Remember, it got all the way up to $265. It's only at $13.82 at the moment. So there could be some big upsides with that game hype later on in the year. Keep your tabs on that one. All right, so that is pretty much it on that. Let's go back into the overall for Pulsechain just to wrap things up. And we're going to get into Hex and we're going to get into Titan X a little bit as well. So Pulsechain at the moment is sitting at 6.9 million in volume for the weekday. So pretty low, but that was kind of what we had at the beginning of the week, right? I think Monday, Tuesday was around 6-7 million. We had one day, I think, over 10, and yesterday wasn't too bad, about 8.6 or something. But we're down at 6.9 million at the moment. 157,000 transactions, so pretty much on the low side that we've been having recently. Looking at the top performers, well, we've got some new ones there from 9-inch Exchange, this Shocker one, and Sim. So yeah, getting all sorts of coins launching there. This one Shocker is 18 hours ago. It's up 3,370%. Only 2,000 liquidity, so very small pool. Easy to move that price. Simp as well is up a little bit to 40%. That was launched a month ago. And has the volume on that? Actually 4K. So pretty small retail plays on 9-inch, but nevertheless some action there if you're into that smaller action markets. One swap there. Not know if is that a DEX? I haven't seen that one, or maybe I've forgotten about it. But that's up 36%. Pretty small retail volume as well. Liquidity 5,000 there. What's it got? 7,700 volume there. So a little bit of plays in some of these smaller ones. Mollarat though, getting to the bigger players. Mollarat is up 20% again. They've been doing pretty well recently. Rat with pizza, rat with fruit. So it's not too bad there as well. Content reward token up 2.7% there. So a little bit of moves there and some different names that we not normally see in the mix here in these top 6, 7, 8 addresses there. Not too bad. All right, so that's pretty much it for that. Let's jump over to the rest of the stats. We're going to get into gas prices. 113,000 beats, so super low at the moment. 1/10 of a penny for a Pulsechain swap, 8,000th of a penny for a Pulsecoin transfer, and 200th of a penny for a Pulse a PRC20 transfer. At the moment, we've got Gwei on Ethereum at 1 Gwei, and Pulsechain is still 660 times cheaper than Ethereum. Now, this comes into the video at the beginning, right, with Richard Hart, and Richard Hart was saying, if we have a lot of protocols coming to Pulsechain, we get a lot of activity, then the chain will get filled up and the costs will go up. Obviously, at the moment, we haven't got that with the 150,000 transactions. We've got obviously the low beats, so we've got the opposite of that at the moment. But in due course, we could see that we get a bit of a rally in the price. Things can turn around, right? So obviously, protocols, developers are one of the things that makes the chain valuable. Obviously, the others that's on the supply side. Obviously, on the demand side is you got new users. You've got big, large buyers coming in, whether it's a Magic Cartwright or institutions or whatever, VCs, whatever it's going to be, or just large crypto traders. Then that's the other side of it, right? So obviously we haven't got that other side at the moment, but we're still focusing on getting developers coming in. So getting that new Oracle on the Pulsechain, that's going to be really, really important. So excited about that. We need that more infrastructure so that more teams can come over and use decentralized oracles. So that's kind of cool. All right, so that's kind of where we are there. Let's go to the validators at the moment. Pulsechain is a full DeFi, so not only are we super fast, super cheap, but we're also full DeFi layer 1, right? So we're not getting the chain stopped all the time. We've got 48,485 validators, and at the moment we've got 1.55 trillion stuck in the validator. It's been like that for a few months, right? So that's kind of where we are. Bridge at the moment, 90 million, 437,000. I think that's pretty similar to yesterday, if I remember rightly. I think it's pretty much the same. So not much to talk about there. All right, so we just started day 477 on the old Pulsechain. That's how we rock and roll. Let's jump over to Hex, see what will be happening over there. Day 1734. Let's see what have we got there. 732. So we did have yesterday's data. I didn't read that out, but Hex on Ethereum got 7.5 Hex per T-share. So that's a really great result there. And on Pulsechain, we would have had a day 475. Would have been 7.3. So we haven't got today's results out yet for day 476 or for Pulsechain day 1733. So we're waiting for that. That'll probably come out in time later on. We might talk about that tomorrow because I can't hang around for it waiting if it's going to come out in an hour, right? All right, so let's jump into, we're going to get into the Titan-X ecosystem. So we're moving now from Pulsechain over to Ethereum. This is obviously hot, founded by a Pulsechain Hex developer, actually, Jake Sharp. So if you're not familiar with him, he's got probably similar size channel to Hex Token, but of course is a dev and a tokenomics guru. So and we're seeing some very exciting things happening over on a Titan-X ecosystem, which is kind of acting like Titan-X acts like a layer 1, if you were. On Ethereum, and so it's acting like that, and then it's building second and third layer protocols on top of it, right? And you have to use Titan-X to enter a lot of those things, or you have to use a second layer to enter a third layer protocol. Things like that are happening. So very exciting. The inflation's pretty much out on Titan-X. I think by the time we get to the end of September, maybe mid-October, it's pretty much out. And of course, it could get the miners. The price could go through the roof. And of course, the mining on Titan-X could start again for later next year, potentially, with a lot of stuff coming out. So very exciting things happening here. The tokenomics are very, very clever. And Jake has managed to get the ecosystem to really start to fly. The other thing, of course, there is DragonX. It seems to be the other top protocol, a second layer on top of Titanx. That is kind of like the super whale, if you imagine it like that. And Jake knows very well that DragonX is the super whale, and making the DragonX even stronger is a new protocol coming out potentially next week, which is Hydra. So that could be pretty exciting if it comes out early September. I think the timing will be pretty lit, and that could hyper pump a DragonX, which the inflation's already out on DragonX, right? There's only 5.3 trillion DragonX. So this could be absolutely insane for that demand. And we've seen DragonX really performing very well after recent 30x pump on that and consolidating at the moment. But it's you can see it's kind of starting to move up again, up 2.6%. The other one, of course, which is built on Titanx, which is another cool project, is Hyper. And Hyper at the moment is also doing very well. It looks like it's could break out as well. There's a lot of ETH going in there now. I think about 160, 170 ETH has gone in, so it's recharged, got back into being profitable to mine. So that's feeding Ethereum back into the system. And Hyper is actually the most scarce out of this. So there's 5.3 trillion DragonX. There's only 1.25 trillion Hyper at the moment. Obviously, there's future miners coming out, but there was a big lag between, right, because of the unprofitability at some stage. But now it's back in profit, 130, 140%, even as high as 160. Could go even higher leading into October. So this system is like a ROI protocol, a juggernaut. That's basically what it is. It's the whole ecosystem is like an ROI protocol juggernaut, which is typically a riskier, part of tokenomics in Pulsechain, in crypto generally. Yeah, this thing is looking really lit. And what's happened here? Titanx is built in the Magic Heart right into the system, right? So it's got a big giant buy and burn with tens of millions of dollars in it. It is a behemoth about to happen. It's adding more and more buy and burns and flywheels into the system. So this is the magic that's happening. Perhaps people will look back and go, this is the greatest crypto tokenomics of all time, really been solved there. Obviously built on the back of some of Richard Hart's genius there with Hex and Pulsechain and things like that. But it's definitely looking very, very exciting. And Pulsex, of course. Now, obviously, we've got other projects that are out at the moment, Inferno. And of course, Inferno is actually taking from, imagine this, so we talk about demand with the buy and burns and things like that. We've also got the supply side, getting rid of supply. And Inferno at the moment is open on its 6 cycles. So it's doing 8 cycles to get its inflation out. And it's currently on the 6th cycle. They open up for 24 hours. So let's go have a look at Inferno. And we're just going to refresh the page here and have a quick look at this. So we've got Inferno at the moment. Titanx deposited. So we started at about 3.1 trillion Titanx. We're at now up so far, maybe around about 380, something give it around there, maybe 370 billion Titanx has gone in there today. Now, last time when we had cycle 5, it was 700 billion. The previous cycle on cycle 4, if I remember right, it was 330 billion. So you can see there's a really big upbeat. And because the prices, as you can see in all of these, are going up over time, the sentiments there as well, and the community's growing. So that's a really big upside there. Yeah, wow, it's exciting. Now, obviously, there's how many hours? 13 hours. 13 hours and 21 minutes to go to get into Inferno, which is pretty exciting on week 6. Remember, there's only 8 weeks, and of course, week 6 is cycle 6 is on now, and they're about a week apart from each other, and they open up for 24 hours, just to give you an idea of how that is. So we could end up hitting $1 trillion. Don't be surprised. We've still got 13 hours, and we might go from 700 billion to $1 trillion or more. It's definitely possible, and we've had a pretty good start, I think, with 380 billion going there. So it's going to be fun to see that play out. You got to remember that also over September we got the last of the big inflation for Titanx. So that Titanx can go somewhere, right? Can go into Inferno, can go into DragonX, can go into Hyper. There's lots of things that can happen there with that new Titanx, and so pretty exciting about that. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you can check this out in the link there. So I'll post that as well. Now, I think we've just got a bit of a notification here. So I'm going to pause for a minute. We'll get back to the charts because I want to talk a bit more about this. So that is the Inferno there, mint currently underway, cycle number 6 out of 8. Remember, there's only 8. Now, the ratio that you get goes down a little bit every week. So you get a little bit less Inferno. I think it's 0.75 or 0.8 today. So just remember that. What does it say here? Just trying to think, where is the ratio? 0.75. Yeah, so one Titanx will get you 0.75 Inferno. It goes down by 0.05 every time. So I think the last one will be 0.06. 0.6 will 6.5. So 0.65, I think is the last one for week, cycle number 8. That's kind of the play there at the moment. Now, I think given the price at the moment of the Inferno, it's indicating a 6% ROI at the moment. So that might taper things off. We'll see how that goes. But once again, the supply's out, bullish. Now, some of the other protocols that are launching will also be launching on Inferno. I think there's at least one that's going to be launching on top of Inferno. So it'll be a third layer, and that could benefit the limited supply, just like we see. So that we talked about that as well yesterday. Was it yesterday or 2 days ago? So that's kind of the play at the moment. We've got obviously Titan Blaze down there as well. And of course Helios as well. These are 2 other big teams, second layer protocols built on Titan X, doing pretty well also, although they're down today a bit there at the moment. So some exciting stuff. Let's have a quick look at Titan X price quickly while we're here. And before, I was going to get into some of the comments first, wasn't I? Yeah, I think I'll do that first. Trev says the UK and Europe are gone. Australia is also in a trouble. Digital assets might save us. Yeah, that's right, Trev. You know it. What else there? Good evening, Hexkins. Check my pulse in the house. Big shout out to you. Sticking to the plan. DCA accumulate, hodl, keep tight, stay focused. We're nearly there. Don't get scammed, man. Says check my pulse. Absolutely. In fact, let's finish off that poll before we end up talk a bit more about Titan X ecosystem on Ethereum. Let's see here. We got, are you buying Pulsechain at the moment at these low prices? 69% said yes. So some smart people out there. They agree with check my pulse on that one. Yeah, sticking to the plan. DCA accumulate, hodl, keep it tight. Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we got no says 23%, maybe 7%, and buying other chain cryptos. No one's buying other chain cryptos at the moment. So that is where we are. So pretty positive. That's a pretty positive poll. The volumes at the moment with the RSI where it is, pretty good idea, I think. What else there? We got Trevor in the house there. By taking the funds away from the totalitarian regimes. Yes, indeed, Trev. Some good comments there. Finally, we got Empty Corner in the house, 24 months. Now, we had Brian yesterday. Brian in the house for, was it 30 months or 30 something like that? 30 months on Brian. So big shout out to Brian. Empty Corner in the moment, Hex Token channel member, 24 months, 2 years. Woohoo! Absolutely. Well done. And appreciate your support big time, Empty Corner. Thanks so much. 2 years of support. You can't say much about that. That's just awesome. All right. Or can you say too much about it? I don't know. It's pretty awesome. All right. So here we are at the moment. We've got Titan X at the moment. Remember, Titan X got a buy and burn. So it's got about 3.3 ETH every 4.5 hours or so, buying support. But it's also got the hyper buy and burns coming in here as well, about a 1 ETH every 3 hours. And soon it's going to have a third buy and burn from the Vortex on hyper. So hyper is going to have 2 buy and burns buying Titan X. So that's coming up on the 19th of September. So it's going to be insane. It's going to be really great. We're also getting a lot of speculation in on Titan X. It's going to be pretty cool. And here we are on the weekly. You can see we have a nice little run here, a bit of consolidation. Once we get through September, I think the price is really going to start. I think you've only got maybe 2 weeks, is my guess, on 2 weeks in September, the 1st of September, to really accumulate some Titan X. I think after that, it's off to the races, right? Off to the races. Let's actually bring up the June report and have a little look at this. So obviously, we talk about stuff like this in the Strategy Club in Discord. So if you want to join up to that, the link's in the video description. That's $35 a month. We go much deeper dive on that and have a lot of intel flow on that. But if we look down here at the inflation for Titan X coming out, it is pretty much, look at that. We're coming into this. This is the stuff here. All the stuff here is pretty much the last. So that's the end of September. It's the last of the trillion plus candles. And then after that, look at it, just dies off. The inflation dies off. It's going to be insane. This is the layer 1. Remember the layer 1 in the ROI ecosystem? And of course, this is going to go absolutely through the moon. So that's what I'm saying. I think you've probably got maybe up even to 2 weeks, maybe the 14th of September. I don't think the market's going to really care about these other candles coming up. 3 trillion, one here, 2 trillion. And then on the Vortex is coming up on the 19th, 20th, right? So that's right in the middle here. And yeah, I think it's just going to be game on. So we might see the market front run the low supply. That's the logic there, right? So the logic, the supply is dying off, and the market may front run all that. So that's kind of probably what we'll see. The market may move earlier than people expect, rather than waiting to the end of the inflation really coming out, maybe the end of September, maybe even the 5th of October, which is the last trillion candle is on the 5th of October. We could see that the market move way before that. And we see all the inflation that's come out so far. The propensity is people have been holding, right? People have been holding, so they're not letting go because they know they can see this picture here, right? A lot of people know that this is dying down in terms of the inflation. Now, the miner may become profitable, right, by October. If the price keeps going up of TitanX, then the miner will probably become profitable again. And of course, then we could see more Titan miners, and that's going to feed the ETH into the buy and burn. It's also going to push out new inflation out into the future, but that's not going to bother us at all for a long period of time, because most of the inflation is dying off by the time we get to the 5th of October. We've got very small candles, relatively speaking, coming out. By the time we get to November, December, it's pretty much a nothing burger, right? November, look at that nothing burger. It really is crazy. And of course, we've got so many bullish things coming out. Hydra coming out potentially next week, maybe the week after. And then we see that Eric is doing a lot of marketing. Jake is also doing a lot of marketing there in promotion on X. We also see that in the last 48 hours, we also see that we've got the Vortex coming out on the 19th. That's another buy and burn, that third buy and burn. And then, of course, then we've got in October, potentially, we've got X28 coming out before the big payday. The staker payout on TitanX on the 30th, 195 billion is coming out day in inflation, but we got the payout of something like over $7 million, if I remember rightly. So it's pretty huge. So we've got all these buy and burns coming in. We've got all these protocols launching. So if we go to TitanX Hub, we can see all the protocols that are still coming down the pipeline in this ROI juggernaut ecosystem. So we've got all these ones here: Shogun, Ouroboros, which is going to be epic. I think if they can pull it off, that's going to be huge. And we've got Blaze Wars, Pulsar, Titan Farms. Titan Farms probably going to be a bit later on the Dragon X, because it's going to be off a yield farming for multiple protocols in the ecosystem. That's going to add further stuff, but I think they'll probably be pushed out possibly into the new year. And then we've got obviously Titan Fire. We've got these new ones here, right? Flux, Element 280, Volt, Hydra, of course, potentially September, Element 280 in October. So if we get X28 and Element 280 in October, man, it really just starts to spur things on. There's a couple of white papers here. You can read through those as well. And there are at least probably 4 projects that are not even on here, maybe more. So yeah, this list is going to get bigger and bigger and make more supply on TitanX. So you can see it's going to be pretty crazy on the old TitanX farm. So, and with Inferno, still got 2 more weeks to go, right? So today and then 2 more weeks in the September, it's going to be taking supply off the market. We could get 1 or 2 trillion off the market from just that in the next 2 weeks with the momentum in the chart. So you can see this thing is about to go lit. And it's a good chance at the moment that TitanX is number 16 in the top 30 on Ethereum. This could end up being number 1 and staying there for months and months and months and months. I mean, this thing could end up as transformative in the old top Ethereum there. This ecosystem, as you can see, it is ballistically huge juggernaut. Look, all these projects just keep coming, all wanting to feed on TitanX. They're either third layers feeding on a second layer token or second layer feeding on TitanX, right? That's the play. And so TitanX will become pretty rare in the future. Obviously, a lot of people are just not selling the TitanX because they know the game is afoot. So there we go. That is kind of where we are at the moment. Looking at the other top performer there, Dragon X. This is obviously huge. All the supply is out for Dragon X. So unlike TitanX, which is out like September, October, this is already out, 5.3 trillion, and the market is continuing to ride there. You can see the ratio to TitanX is basically 9 to 1 on TitanX there. So looking very strong indeed for the upside. Now this could do tens and tens of X's. Some people calling hundreds. Now we're going to be more modest, talk about tens of X's, but definitely this is looking very good because Hydra is coming out potentially next week or the following week, and it's a game on, right? Game on. And then of course it's got Dragon X also is the number 1 whale. It's going to get a huge payout, right? So we can see that too. Let's go to Titan Watch and we can look at the Dragon X whale. And of course Hydra is going to boost the Dragon X whale as well. X28 is probably going to boost Dragon X as well by taking the shares out of the retail book. That would increase the Dragon X because it has to stake, right? It has to go and stake. So that could happen as well. Let's see if we can pull this up. Actually, it seems to be stuck in the matrix. So, oh well, we'll just leave that. So that's not coming up, unfortunately. It's about $2.7 million that's coming in to do more buy and burning and etc. of TitanX. So it's going to be huge for TitanX. Massive money coming on 30th of October. All right, so multiple protocols launching between September, October. Inflation pretty much going to be out by, probably mid-October, if not earlier. That's going to actually, the market cares about, probably end of September. And then, of course, game afoot there with the staker payouts. And then on and on, more protocols more buy and burns. It's just going to be lit, right? Absolutely lit. Now, DragonX is also going to benefit from a number of these projects. So a couple of the projects down here are going to be benefiting DragonX. They're putting a bit of their tokens into the DragonX vault in terms of Titanx. So it's going to build up the DragonX as well. So looking pretty awesome is the old markets there. And Hyper there, the sleeping breakout is currently up almost 6%. And we are probably getting very close. It's been sticking around here for about a week or so, but this might break out to the upside as well. There's only 1.25 trillion. So we talk about 5.3 in DragonX, but there's only 1.25 trillion in Hyper at the moment. Obviously, more miners are coming out, but this could really start breaking up as well. Ratio to Titanx, 5.1 to 1. So yeah, you never know. Maybe we might get a big breakout there in the old Hyper as well. It has brought in quite a bit of extra Ethereum. So if we go to look at the Hyper chart with the buy and burn, we can see that the yield at the moment is profitable, 140%, and the buy and burn at the moment is got 160 ETH in there. Yeah, so looking amazing, $400,000. The Hyper buy and burn, this is operating at the moment. It's got $563,000 in Titanx. So that is buying Hyper and taking it off the market, burning it as well. And then, of course, the big news is the Vortex coming up on the 19th September. Look at that, 292 ETH sitting in there. 738 that's going to buy Titanx, right? That's going to be epic. So more number 3 buy and burn coming by the time we get into the 9th of September. So as you can see, this is going to be pretty exciting ecosystem. Furno has taken Titanx supply off the market. Buy and burns are buying it and burning it. It's going to be insane. Titanx, some people are complaining that Titanx may not have enough. Now, there's still plenty of trillions at the moment. But people are not selling, and it's being burned, and going into second and third layer protocols. It's going to be pretty awesome to see that. Total supply at the moment of Hyper is 1.2 trillion. And if we look at Titanx at the moment, let's give a look at that over here. The buy and burn at the moment is 2.5 million. But remember, it's got V1 sitting in behind as well with $11.25 million, 4,500 ETH sitting in that. This hasn't even been touched. And then the stats at the moment, we've currently got 55 trillion liquid supply of Titanx, 33% of the total supply at the moment. And of course, 65 trillion has been burned. Can you believe that? Pretty amazing. And 22 trillion staked. Most of that is locked away for a long time. So pretty exciting there. So you can see things are really starting to heat up here in the old Titanx ecosystem, looking like a boss. So I don't want to go through that. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Brennan says Titanx ecosystem will melt faces. Yeah, it's about to go ballistic. So I'm very excited to see that. And look, you make some mad gains there. You can always pull a bit into Pulsechain and buy those big volumes and hold that on for when it has its day in the sun as well with the magic cup ride, right? So currently we know the Pulsechain ETH there, the 70,000 ETH was bought around about $3,700 ETH. Obviously with about $2,500 at the moment, it's out of the money, about $1,200 per ETH. But when that reverses back, we get on that uptrend. Maybe it starts in October for the bull market. Then that will start to come and play there as well. So you could be a double winner there at the moment. But definitely Titanx in the short term looking hot. And of course, I don't see anything abating for that. And there's no reason you can't have multiple chains absolutely pumping, right? So looking forward to that. Big exciting times. Brandon says this could be an opportunity to capitalize on your RH tokens. Absolutely. I agree with that, Brandon. We got Sitcho and House there. What about DragonX? Oh, we just spent the whole time talking about DragonX. So DragonX is looking pretty exciting. All right, so there we go. Yeah, looking very cool. Like I say, Hyper, 1.25 trillion at the moment in supply. DragonX, 5.3 trillion. Titanx at the moment, what do we say? 54. And of course, we got the last month of really big inflation for Titanx. And then pretty much it starts to fall off a cliff in October. And then by November, it's pretty much out. And of course, I think we'll probably see the Titanx miner. We see a Hyper miner profitable. We'll probably see the Titanx miner profitable potentially sometime in October, if not November. And game on, right? So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. We may even see it late up September. You never know, depending on the speculative FOMO there. Kind of cool. Some of these others, of course, doing well. Inferno, Blaze, Helios, all doing pretty well, and they're all getting more powerful, right? More powerful. And then we've got all these other protocols coming as well. So more buy and burns, more protocols. The supply is going to get pretty scarce for the old Titanx. Obviously, DragonX pretty scarce as well, and as a leverage play on Titanx. So pretty exciting where this is all heading. All right, I think that's pretty much it. We're 54 minutes in the hour. Hope you guys enjoyed that. And we'll catch you again, not tomorrow because I'm taking the day off, but I'll see you on Monday Kiwi time or Sunday US time. I'll be on 2 shows. I have my daily show at midday, and I'll also have midday, but also have in the morning I'll probably be on the Mafia show with Cult DeFi and Archie there, the Don of the syndicate, and yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. You got your last question for me, Heavy Searcher? Do you have any idea how the buy and burn will be by the hours or days or the amount? So you're talking about Titanex? I'm not sure. Talking about DragonX there. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Now, the buy and burns are already in the details. So if you go to Titanex, you can find this yourself. But if you go to the buy and burns, they've got the tabs there. Below the buy and burns, it tells you how much a buy and burn there is. So at the moment on Titanex V2, there's 3.33 ETH, and it's callable every 280 minutes. So that's the idea there. So if that's what you're referring to, that is the play. Obviously, if you go to Hyper, you go to the buy and burn, and it will also tell you what the buy and burn is, 1 ETH there per 180 minutes, so every 3 hours. And the Hyper buy and burn there as well is burning 5.3 billion Titanex, and that's every 180 minutes, so every 3 hours as well. If that's what you're referring to. So you can find all that stuff on titanexhub.com. Titanexhub.com. That's where you can find all those details and check that up yourself. All right. Thank you, sir. You're most welcome. Brennan says, I think he means the buy and burn for DragonX is super on day 369. All right. Well, we tried to open that up, but I was having trouble. Trouble opening that up. Let's see if we can try that again. That's on titanex.watch. You can find the Titanex buy and burn, but for some reason it's not opening up for me at the moment. I have no idea why. It's titanex.watch, might work for you. At the moment, it's just not opening up on my browser. It's got the circles going around, which we don't know. I said it was about 2.7 million, right? That's how much is in there. So the DragonX is about 36% last time I checked of the staker class. But like I said, with X28, if people are burning their shares for X28, DragonX won't be burning its shares. It has to restake, and so they will end up buying. Now, the buying of the buy and burn is going to be about 44.5%. On the Titanex one and burn, and about 44.5% on the Titanex buy. So it buys Titanex, and then it swaps it over for DragonX and burns the DragonX. That's the play there. And of course, I think the rest of it just goes to the Genesis wallet, if I remember rightly. So there we go. Hopefully that answers those questions. How they will allocate. I just answered you, Brent. So that front run you. All right. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed it. 7:57. We're almost on an hour here. And that's a bit of an overview of the Titanex ecosystem for many of you that may not be familiar. And of course, if you want to find out more details, we've got intel and insights in our strategy club in the Discord. It's $35 a month. The link's in the video description. And join us today. We're looking at multi-chain opportunities, and we don't care who they are or what they are, as long as they're good, we're looking at it. And so, yeah, that's the place to be. All right. Cheers, super. Have a good day, mate. You too, Brennan. Take care, everybody. And a big shout out. Let's finish off with the Magic Up ride because I think it's appropriate. We've been so excited with these Magic Up rides, whether it's on Pulsechain or on the Titanex ecosystem. It's pretty exciting. All right. Let's go back here. We're going to put in the Magic Up right here from Richard. Peace out, everybody. Take care and bye for now. Enjoy your weekend. That's all I can say.
In theory, if someone were a billionaire and they had like all this money, why wouldn't they just buy more of the thing they liked instead of dumping the thing they liked? Like if Bezos bought shares in Amazon, would you be pissed off? If Apple does a stock buyback and they buy more of their own shares in their company back from the public, which is a way to turn earnings into yield for the shareholders, do you get mad and yell at Apple? And so we had to come up with a word for this fan fiction fantasy, which is the opposite of a rug pull, called a magic carpet ride. And so if you're worried about risk of a rug pull, what weighted value have you given the risk of a magic carpet ride? And it's just hilarious to me.